welcome to my podcast, World to the Max. I'm your host, Maxime. After spending years in different countries, in the United States, in Spain, I've been blessed to meet people from all over the world. So today I'm with my friend Pasha or Pavel from Russia. How are you, my friend?
Hello, Max. I'm good. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me to your podcast. I really appreciate it. And I'm glad to see
Of
you.
course. Perfect. Me too. Me too. It was a must to do an episode with you. So we're going to get into it. Well, briefly, we've met in the United States, playing football together, studying. So we've stayed in touch, thankfully. So the first question I'm going to ask, of course, is about the Russia itself. So give me a good idea of where it's located, the size.
Well, it's pretty simple. Russia is the biggest country in the world. And I am from Krasnodar. It's a city on the south. We have almost 2 million people population. It might not be as well-known city as Moscow or St. Petersburg, but it's like a major city on the south. And no, I think it is considered as a capital of the south region of Russia.
What about the country? I know it's a very, very big country. It's the biggest in the world. Tell me about the population.
It's around 150 million people. Russia is very big, and there is still a lot of space where people don't live. But mostly Russia is kind of divided in European part and Asian part, and most of the population lives in European part, obviously.
Okay. Yeah. So would you say Russia, do they consider themselves as European or more Asian?
For sure, it's not Asian. I'd say we consider ourselves as Europe, part of Europe, but it's also kind of known as East Europe.
Russia is pretty much the size of its own continent. So do you consider Russia as like its own continent in a way or not really?
No, not of course. It is big country, I agree, and it looks like it takes the whole continent. We're not the only one living there. We have neighbors, and yeah, we never thought about ourselves as like the continent or something. Yeah, we know that we're the biggest country in the world. We're kind of proud of it. But yeah, continent is
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, as you said, they are known as Eastern European. So yeah, tell me about the climate. I know Russia is known for snow, cold, but tell me more about it.
well, because Russia is so big, it has different types of climate, obviously. And where I'm from the south, and most of the year it's kind of warm. For example, during winters, we don't always have snow. Like snow is a big event for my city and makes kind of everyone happy, but it doesn't stay there for long. But if you go to
Yeah.
like up to the north, Moscow, St. Petersburg, it gets much colder. For example, I know honestly, this winter was kind of cold. Even in my city, it went down to minus 10 degrees, but I know in Moscow it was down to minus 25 at some point. But yeah, also it's kind of cold in the Asian part of Russia, like Siberia and Far East. So yeah, it depends.
Yeah. So question about the population. I know most people, as you say, live in Eastern Europe. Is there, I know it's not a lot of people, but is there a population on the far east of Russia that lives next to China?
Yes, that part is also, let's say, full of people. People live there. There are major cities such as Vladivostok, Khabarovsk, and yes, they interact with the Chinese a lot. And I've never been to that part. I have a friend from there, and I'm really hoping to visit him one day there because it's kind of exotic in terms of something new. Like it's different culture there, and I think it's really cool and interesting. He tells me stories how bears, they come to villages and local people, they would chase them on the cars just like for fun. And it's just also they have a lot of seafood, caviar, and it's not as expensive as it, I don't know, in my part of Russia, in the European part. And they have volcans there, they have whales. But yeah, it's really, really nice. Also, they ski there a lot.
Okay. Well, I mean, yeah, the ski, they should be able to ski anywhere in Russia.
Yeah.
So, okay. Well, talking about the language, I'm not gonna be surprised if you tell me that people in Russia speak Russian. Tell me about the other countries that have languages that are related to Russian, because I know in Eastern Europe, it's a lot of languages that are based from Russian or that are very similar.
Well, it has a few reasons to it. Eastern European countries, they're also coming from Slavic family tongue, the language, and it's very
Mhm.
similar, like Serbian, Ukrainian, Polish, Litva, Latvia. It's kind of, I think it's
Yeah.
considered as Slavic nations, and that's why we have similar similarities in language. Also, the second reason, like why these countries and also Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, they're obviously not Slavic, but they also speak Russian, and also Belarusia, they speak Russian. One of the main reasons is that, as you know, we're used to be Soviet Union, and it like these countries were part of the Soviet Union, and I think it also had an impact on their cultures, and that's why like most of them can understand Russian and even speak it, and yeah, it's just part of history, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay. And in Russia, like, there's no differences in regions. Everybody speaks the same Russian, north, south, east, west.
Now, to be honest, Russia is a big country and it has different uh, nationalities in it as well, like besides Russians. And Russian is the main language and everyone speaks it. But also there are minorities. People in Dagestan can speak their language. People in Chechnya can speak their own language. And there are so many regions like this where they have their own kind of language. Like
Mhm.
we have a, it's called Republic of Tatarstan, and it's like region in Russia. And the main city there is Kazan.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
people speak their, obviously they speak Russian, but they also know their second.
Okay. Very good. Very good. So finally, talking about the country itself again, uh, we're gonna talk about food because it's always something that people wanna know about when they go to a different country or when they hear about another country. Give me a good introduction about food in Russia.
Well, food, obviously, not. I'm not gonna surprise you if I say that it's my favorite cuisine. But Russia has a really good food, and most of the dishes they don't have a translation to English, so sometimes it's hard to explain what it is. But you've probably heard of borscht. It's a very famous soup made of obviously meat, tomato, tomato sauce. So
Mhm.
I don't know. It would be better to ask my mom or grandmother. So it's borscht, then вареники, пельмени, блины, сырники is a big thing. And obviously, like when people start talking about, "Oh, what's your food in your country?" And no one, so I can call it specifically like borscht, and no one would know what it is. Like, or not many people would know what it is. We also have, yeah, we also have like many nice salads. We eat. I mean, caviar. I'm kind of surprised. Not many people in other parts of the world eat it often. I'm not gonna lie, it's not like daily. It's not cheap, but from time to time we have it.
Okay. 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 Well, I mean, caviar, it's for me in France, it's like a once in a year type of thing. Maybe like a wedding, maybe Christmas or
Yeah, in
But
Russia we do it also like it's always a part of New Year's table. And but as I said, like you can always get it during the year as well if you desire. But besides the food and cuisine, what I want to say is the quality of the food. Obviously, you can get a good quality food in the US, but it will be more expensive. And we're students here, we try to save money and stuff. But whenever I go home, it's always, you know, very good organic food and it's affordable. It's not like you have to pay extra. It's just like it is available for all the people. I also we have this we have these markets, bazaars where like a lot of often old people come there to trade and sell their own goods that they grow at their backyard or country house or whatever, and it's always like good quality. We have like so for when we go groceries for groceries, you can go to big supermarket. Obviously, it's like one part of your shopping routine, and then you also go to the market and bazaar.
okay, okay. So yeah, I mean, I think they have this in France. They have this a lot. I know that. But you've shown me pictures. I know when you went to those big markets, it's huge, huh? Is it like only countryside type of thing, or even in big cities you will find those?
No, it is. It is in the cities as well. I also maybe it's not obviously the tempo of life is different from south and let's say north, and I think it's everywhere like this. For example, in Moscow, people are more like in the rush, and it's more business, money, time related. And I'm sure they have markets as well there, but not a maybe it's not as big in terms of culture there as it is on the south in my city. You know, the flow of life is a bit more chill, and my mom always goes to the markets and bazaars, and they're big, and you can always negotiate the price, and it's really nice.
Okay, okay, very good. So you talked about the two biggest cities, Moscow and Saint Petersburg. So tell me, for a tourist, for example, that would like to travel to Russia, what do you recommend them to visit?
I talk, well, don't get me wrong. It's not only two big cities in Russia. I call them because they're well known everywhere in the world, but there are many big and beautiful cities in Russia and many more other beautiful places. Obviously need more than one trip to come to Russia to fully embrace it, embrace the culture and everything. But in one trip, if you go, you should definitely visit or at least try to visit Moscow. It's in my opinion, it's the best city in the world. And don't say that I'm biased or anything because I've been to many places. Maybe a little bit I am, but Moscow is it's very high tech city. It's very safe, very clean, and it has a nice architecture, history, and it has basically everything you need. Yeah, Moscow is just has everything. You probably like everyone probably saw those viral TikToks and reels about Moscow subway, Moscow metro.
Yes.
And you go, it's one of my favorite things about Moscow. We go down there and you get into, you know, like the stations, it's so clean. The trains are so advanced and high tech, and you have chargers in the train. Maybe it's not a surprise, but it's clean, it's safe, and the trains, they come every 2 minutes. You have the countdown clock. It's always on time, it's never late. So whenever you go down, if you don't catch a train, you know there is going to be another one in 1 minute 40 seconds or whatever. And it's also the you know those stations are beautiful. It's like you go to museum, you have different monuments, and it has a big echo from Soviet Union period. I just like it. I think it's part of history again, and it kind of keeps keeps the history of that period of Russia. Besides Moscow, you should definitely visit St. Petersburg. It's a little bit different. It's more chill. People from St. Petersburg are very similar to European. So St. Petersburg was built in 1703 in this year. It was built by Russian Imperator Peter the Great, and it's also a big part of our history. And Peter, he was the first ruler who is known as the one who opened the window to Europe for Russia. He traveled a lot to Europe, especially to Netherlands. Also, he was the one who founded St. Petersburg, and he made it the capital of Russia. At the time, it was Russian Empire. There is a lot of museums, a lot of gold, like you can see it walking around because it was used to be a capital of Russian Empire.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so I wanna react to that. So yeah, Moscow, as you said, is definitely first the best city in Russia, let's say, and then it's in competition for the best cities in the world. I'll give you that. It's the craziest architectures. I think it has a bit of an influence in like the Orthodox castles or everything like this. So yeah, and then I didn't know about the metro stations, but I agree. When you send me pictures, it's like you go to a museum at each station. So for someone that goes to Russia, it's definitely something to experience.
Yes, but also if you have some time left, you should try to come down to the south and experience like different vibes, and it's gonna be really good time. Like I like my city, I love my city, Krasnodar. It's as you know, big city on the south, and it's also advanced, and we live next to the Black Sea. It's not too far, and uh, Olympic Games 2014 took place in Sochi, which is also on the shore. So yeah, it's beautiful, beautiful there.
Okay, okay. So you talked about the beach. Is there a good summer? Like, would you say it's a good place to go during the summer? Is it hot to go to the beach?
So in south, yes, in summer it gets really hot. It's like it goes up to plus 40 degrees, and going to the beach is a good idea. Especially, we have a family house on the beach where we go to during the summer, and it's really nice there. Like ever since I was a kid, I always spend like when I was younger, I used to spend 3 months of summer over there.
Okay, okay, okay. Very good. I mean, it's a lot of things. You talked about a lot of different things about the country. We're going to talk more about people, mentalities, mindsets. So we know Russian for, let's say, hard, very disciplined. Sometimes cold too. So tell me about the mentalities, the mindsets.
Well, I think Russian people, as you said, yeah, we make these kind of impressions, and I think it's true. Like it's not a lie, and we are kind of minding our own business, and we don't have these small talks things. We don't have fake smiles and stuff. So if I ask you how are you, I really mean it, and I really want to know about it. But if you go to, let's say, to the store or coffee shop. I go there, I get coffee, and the barista serves me coffee. It would be kind of weird if he asks me how is my day going if I don't know him. Once Russians get to know you and kind of let you in their world, I think you know it. You know, like you get to know Russians, and as you probably experience, you get to know me from different side. And yeah, to if you are my people, then I'm obviously gonna treat you differently. But it also comes with the sincerity. But mostly Russians are introverts, I would say. But if you get to know them a little better, like they're not gonna be rude.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. Most Russians are very, as you say, introverts. They don't overact. They just act simple. And one thing that you say that's very true, and something that when I think about Russian people is honesty. Like you will not lie, even if it hurts people. Something that most people will do just to please. But is that a Russian thing to just always be honest, even if it hurts?
Yes, when you talk to me, like not specifically you or like any person, you will notice by the way I look, by the way I speak, by the way I act, what I feel about you. So, and I'm not gonna try to hide it. It's just the way I am. And I guess it's just the way we are. And it's not a good or bad thing. It's just our culture.
I would say another thing that people talk about, I don't know if it's a stereotype or not, but they say Russian are very disciplined. Like they will work very hard more than most people.
Well, speaking of stereotypes, I would say there are most stereotypes such as like tough or like, as you said, close and
Hmm.
then introvert. And to be honest, when I ask where I'm from and I say I'm from Russia, and at this moment I feel proud, and also I kind of like this reputation of Russian. It kind of brings this respect into the room, that you should not mess around like with this person. Also, besides these, there are other stereotypes such as vodka, cold, bears, and stuff. But yeah, it's just common.
So vodka, is that of course, it's a stereotype, meaning that's what Russia is known for, like in a way. But tell me, is like when people go to party, is that an alcohol that everybody drinks?
Well, the studies suggest that generation is drinking less and consumes less alcohol, and I think it's true. I don't think it's only in Russia, probably around the world as well, that we're more conscious about health, nutrition, and stuff. But in Russia, I would say vodka. Obviously, it's a part of culture and common thing, but I would say when people go to party, they don't start straight with vodka. But
Okay.
older people like our dads and our fathers and their friends, they can go straight on it, especially when we have a family occasions or like celebrations or anything, and you have the big table and a lot of food, and you would not be surprised if you see vodka there.
Okay. 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 Wow. It's always the older people that,
Yeah.
that keep the tradition. Maybe when you grow up, you'll be that guy.
But you drink vodka, it gets you straight to the conditions. It's not like you can sip it like wine or whiskey. It's opens you up, your mood and
Yeah,
everything.
it does. It does. Okay. So you talked about pride. You say you're, well, I mean, everybody is proud of their country in a way, but so what are you mostly proud of so you talked about the mindset, how people perceive you, but I want to talk about the country or what the country achieved in general. Tell me about what you're proud of about Russia.
Well, I'm proud to be Russian because of a few reasons. First of all, I would say it's our history. Like many countries had good and big moments, made mistakes and stuff, but overall, history of Russia is very interesting. We learn a lot about it since like not high school,
Yeah.
since you go to school, like you learn history throughout the
Mm-hmm.
whole school course. And yeah, we're also it's a big proud moment for Russia, and we remember about it the Second World War, and Russia suffered the most from it. It was around 30 million Russian people, like Soviet Union people, died in the
Mm-hmm.
war, and we sacrificed the most. And in Russia, everyone remembers it. Everyone is proud of what our people did. And yeah, also, Russians went first to the space, Yuri Gagarin. and we're proud of it as well. I think that Russians have a really good science foundation. Many smart people came and coming from Russia, from Soviet Union, made a lot of
Yeah.
science progress. And yeah, like Russia, Russia is a big country with a huge history.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, exactly. The funny thing actually, I learned from you because it's very different in Europe. Well, I mean, I'm talking about France. But we're learning more about the relationship with the United States and France during the World War II. That's where we learn a lot. But we don't talk as much about Russian help that's conquered on the other side, the German Empire. So that's one thing that I learned from you actually. The very big impact that Russia had in the war.
Exactly. I think on the West, people obviously it's not like normal people's fault. It's just their uh, education and stuff, but they lack of appreciation or knowledge of of
Mhm.
the of those years. And yeah, Russia Russia won the Second World War, and we beat Germans and saved many people and many countries.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not saying it's only the work of Russia, but it's not because in France it's mostly how it's presented. It's not only the work of the United States.
I agree. It's not only the actions of Russia or other countries, but you gotta admit that the main actions like took place, like main battles took place in Russian territory. Like we made the biggest sacrifice as well, and it's just facts.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, in history, Russia has a big name. It has a
Yeah,
big name.
it's a big player.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So also you talked about science. For me, when I think about Russia, I always think about these innovations, the space battle. Also, I don't know why, probably because I care about chess. I see a big culture of chess, very a big on education too. Tell me about Russian education.
Yeah, we have many world champions in chess that are from Russia. That is true. We have a very strong chess school. But speaking of education, I think we have a strong education in the school system. You know, coming out of school, you learn a lot of stuff and history, math, physics, everything. And, you know, like I came to the US and we study here as well. US is well known for quality education in the universities. And it's just a fact. It's prestigious and you know it. But when I came to the US and in the freshman year, during freshman year, we also had math and stuff. And they study math here as freshmen in the universities, what we studied in the seventh grade in Russia or something like this, you know. And I think it's common. I think not just Russia, but also European countries and people are more educated or maybe their knowledge is broad, you know, more than average American teenager. And I think it's also, you know, us coming to the US, it also opens up new horizons for us and expands our minds and you become independent. And also, you know, I think that's one of the reasons why we kind of stick to each other, Europeans, not because we choose to, it's just the similar mentality, similar knowledge, and just like our friendship and our group of friends, you know it. And I find myself being more friends with the Europeans, getting close with them than with Americans.
Yeah, I mean, as you say, it's a very different education. I agree with you. It's a lot more challenging in Russia, in Europe. I want to argue it's on another level in Russia. From what I hear, I don't know if it's a stereotype, but they go very deep in the education. I think Europe is starting to look a bit more like the American system. So tell me, is that a stereotype or is it true? Like you really
No,
have to put.
it is true. Russia, when you study in high school, and if you want to go to a good, like we have good universities in Russia as well. And if you want to go to good prestigious university in, let's say, Moscow, you have to put the work during your high school years because upon your graduation, you take exams which are not easy. They're really hard, and depending on how well you pass them, if you get a good score, you can study for free, and you get for free education, like higher education.
Well,
Yeah, like math is a precise science, as you know. Uh, I would say so. Yes, we go deep into it during high school years. Hold
well,
on.
I mean, yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, that's what I thought. That it's very big on education. So connecting this to the work life. Tell me about the work life in Russia. Do you think it's a good option to work in Russia financially, or tell me about this?
Well, it has many factors. It has many ifs and conditions. Answering this question, I would say overall, like let's say average salary is not that high in Russia, and depending on the city as well. Like I might not be precise, but let's put it in the range from 500 to 1,000 euros a month, taking into consideration different jobs, low pay, high pay, uh, medium average salary. When I came to the US, I feel like when it comes down to money, it's easier to make more money and good money in the US, even doing simple job. Like you get well paid for your labor, let's say, for your work. But in Russia, you have to make your way up, and it depends on who you are. Depends a lot on who you know, depends on your connections. But yeah, if you go to good school, good university in Russia, you can probably start well and then make your way up. Also, the cost of living is a bit cheaper than in the US or maybe Europe. I'm not gonna lie, lately it's gone up and it's going up, but overall it's a little cheaper. Yeah, you have to work hard and smart to make good money in Russia.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, as you said, in the United States, it's probably the best ratio, lower jobs and decent salaries. I would say, from what you've told me before, I would say with a good salary, you live very good in Russia, but it's harder for the lower class to make it in a way.
Yeah, it depends. Like lower class too, you can probably make your living, but if you, let's say, go to school, university, and then get an average job, it will be hard for you to afford traveling and I don't know, do some
Yeah.
savings. Like you will have good food stuff and prices are not that crazy, but you will not be able to travel. It will be hard. But
Okay.
but if you make good money, if you reach this point, it's really good life in Russia. You get a lot of benefits with it. It's become common as well in Russia that the service level in Russia is very high as of today. In Russia, you can go 3, 4 a.m. and buy flowers, or you can go buy food, or you can find anything you need. While in Europe and in the US, it will be hard.
Okay. 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 Well, you mentioned flowers, and this reminds me of it's actually funny how Russians are actually very tough, very hard on others, but at the same times they're very romantic. So tell me about this relationship with the women.
Controversial, isn't it? Yes. So I would say it's just another kind of topic. Russian women, Slavic girls. If you want a Slavic girl, you have to put the effort into it. Raised and educated that a man must pay for everything. It's non-negotiable, non-negotiable, and if I take a girl to the restaurant, I'm paying. There is not gonna be a question. Like even the waitress, they're not gonna ask you how you pay. Like are you splitting or not? I pay. If we go to any kind of event, I pay. Like men pay. And flowers is just another topic. Russian woman is just a must. You know, any big event, like you get them flowers, and it should be on the regular basis, once a month, I would say. And it's not just it's not just one rose, because if you give them one rose, it's kind of cringe. It makes you look stupid and funny. It must be good amount of flowers.
Well,
That's how you show your appreciation to women.
yeah. I mean, this is this is one thing as well. I don't know if it's true. Actually, you're gonna correct me. So I would say Russian and also Slavic countries. I wouldn't say superficial, but they like good brands. They like luxury items. So tell me about that. Is it just a stereotype, or that's true?
Well, it also depends on the people, but if you talk about trends, I would say so. If Russians have money, they would like to wear good brands, drive a nice car, and also they would like their woman to look great and flashy and wear, nice brands. And it's just, I think, as I said, it depends a lot on the person and everyone's different. Someone's more humble, let's say, someone cares more or less about style or looks. Me personally, I like good quality clothes. I like nice cars. And it's, like people say first impressions last. So, yeah, I think it's kind of true.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, for
I mean,
example,
you tell me.
well, I would say yes. I would say you love very high quality items like luxury. For example, when you travel, in a way, you would love to go in like a five-star hotel, or like you want to do things if you can afford it, you would do it. Whereas, for example, I would say maybe it's just my opinion, but in France, having a nice car, a very nice car, spending money on luxury items is not really well seen. People feel like you're showing off in a way when you have those.
I mean, I guess Russians are showing off as well, but so what? Just live with it. But yeah, I don't get me wrong. I think like you should always stay humble and act, well and normal. But it's like if we have it in the world, why not enjoy it?
Man, good point. Good point. I like that you say you still stay humble, etc. We already talked about respect, discipline, honesty. So would you add another value that your family taught you?
Yes, I would. We also care a lot about friendship. And I don't know if you know this or not, but friends are very important to me. And if you become friends with Russians, like I want to say specifically about myself, I will care about this friendship. And, like if my friends need anything, I will always try to do my best, and I will always pick up the phone, and I will always be ready to help. And I know that many people would say so from different countries, but we put like a true meaning into the friendship. And yeah, I would also, like when we go out or anything, I don't mind, I don't know, covering for my friends. I don't mind paying, especially if I have money.
Okay, yeah, I'll remember that for next time we travel together. Well, okay, that's what I hear from a European side. I hear that there are a lot of corruption in Russia. You think it's true?
Well, I think corruption exists everywhere. It just comes in different looks, experiences. Obviously, Russia is not an exception. It has corruption as well. But I think that you should not care about something that is out of your control, because it will make your life kind of stressful and worrying. Just live and do what you can and make the most out of it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I agree on what you said that corruption is everywhere. Probably Russians are very honest and direct, so that's probably why we have an idea of what it looks like. But,
Maybe.
uh, but I mean,
I would say Russia is for sure different from US and Europe, and you gotta know how to play, let's say, in Russia, how to act because it's a very specific.
so so uh, a lot of people can have the impression that Russians are aggressive or violent. You have because it comes with the stereotype that you're cold. You're tell me if it's justified or you don't really see a lot of violence in the everyday.
As I said, it's a stereotypes that gives this reputation to Russians, and when a Russian guy says he's from Russia, it brings respect into the room, as I say. But speaking of violence itself, no, I don't think. Like, if you don't provoke, if you act normal, you will not be violent. If there is a reason, yes, Russians can be violent, but only if there is a good reason behind it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's not like you're not safe in the streets in general. It's just like if you mess around with people, you'll be harmed.
Yeah, like yeah, you will probably be first warned, and then depending on your next actions.
Okay, okay, okay. Very good.
Bro, it's
w-
funny, you know how we played for Reinhardt University, and I've never got a red card, and I got my first red card ever for like grabbing the throat of other guy. You remember this, no? It
yes, I
was.
do. I do.
And then when I transferred to NCAA D1 school, I also got a red card for like pushing two other guys as well. It's my only two red cards I got. But it's not that I'm not calm or anything. You know, football it's a game, and sometimes you get passion. And
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's good that you talk about football. That was gonna be my next question. So first about sports. I know it's a lot of football in Russia. Tell me first if it's the main sports and the place it has in the society.
I would say that yes, football is one of the main sports in Russia, and I believe that it could have been taken care better in terms of we could have had like we should have more fields, more places to play, more schools, academies. But overall infrastructure is good for football, and I think that World Cup 2018 had a big impact as well, and it was a great event. Everyone enjoyed it, and I think it was also great because people had a chance to come to Russia from different parts of the world and see true side of Russia and Russians, and not just these propaganda and stereotypes about how bad and violent Russians are and how evil they are. They had a chance to come to Russia, and everyone I spoke to who visited Russia during World Cup, because you know Russia is not your first destination to go to when you travel, especially when you keep hearing this stuff on the TVs and news about like Russians and how we perceive. But World Cup is an event that no one can miss, and uh, many people came to Russia for the World Cup, and I met many people who went there, and I haven't heard a single negative experience from Russia. Everyone loved it. Everyone wants to come again, and I'm just glad it happened.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I mean big time. I don't remember. I don't remember who won the World Cup, but
Well,
but I know
yeah, we all know. Hold on. Yeah, it was also a great World Cup for you, for your nation.
exactly. So I have a lot of appreciation for Russia and the World Cup that happened in Russia. So I mean, it was insane to be honest.
Yeah. And I got a little bit away from football, let's say. Speaking of football, also many like quality academies and football teams are in European part of Russia. And all those big teams, Moscow teams, and now also my team, FC Krasnodar, they won the league
Mhm.
last year for the first time in the history. And the club was founded in 2008. and it's kind of young club, but it's like the owner, Sergei Galitsky, he built a crazy club, crazy academy. I went to this academy. It's just unbelievable conditions for kids. And well, I think that Russian, like youth football in Russia is very good and strong and quality. And it's not just my opinion. There are facts. Like me with my academy, we traveled a lot abroad and we played Galatasaray, Besiktas, we played Milan, Juventus, big names, and we beat them. We beat Juventus Academy twice. We beat Galatasaray, Besiktas. We went to Serbia, played. I know Serbia has great youth academies. It's called like Red Star and Partizan, and
Hmm.
we played them as well and beat them. So yeah, I think youth football in Russia is very good and high quality. However, you don't know Russian national team as the like favorite or something in
Yeah,
competitions. And I think the problem is that in the transition from youth football to adult football, because we have quality youth like teams and academies, but I think transition to the adult football is like something that needs to be worked on.
interesting, interesting. Yeah, that's true. I mean, academies, as you said, you always hear about well, St. Petersburg is always big. You have CSKA. I don't know if you say it like this, but the CSKA
Yeah.
Moscow. I mean, in Europe, it was a team that it was always difficult first to play against when you had to go to Russia and play in the very cold environment. It was always difficult. But yeah, it's actually interesting. Why do youth academy perform well but not the national team?
I think it's also, well, I don't know. You can argue about it a lot and you can discuss it for a long time.
I wanna I wanna talk also about, so Russia is I would say is known for football, but is it's also known for all the sports. So tell
Yeah,
me.
like we spoke about football because we play football. Other sports are also uh, popular in Russia, such as, ice hockey. Russia is well known as a strong nation in ice hockey. And we have many players playing NHL. The greatest ice hockey player. Uh,
Mhm.
you know his name?
No,
Oh no, you don't know Alexander Ovechkin. You haven't heard of it. He
no.
scored an NHL like I think Canadian guy. His name is Gretzka. He had the most goals, and now it's a Russian player Ovechkin, and many other Russians play in NHL, and NHL is the strongest like club league in ice hockey.
Mhm.
And besides ice hockey, we like wrestling. Like Russia has a very strong school, let's say, preparation for wrestling
Mhm.
and well respected worldwide. Then tennis. Tennis is I'm pretty sure it's expensive everywhere to go to. As a kid, like for parents to take care of tennis,
Mhm.
of like uh, practices and equipment and stuff. But I think that Russian school of tennis is very good as well and well known and respected. Speaking of other sports, I would say Olympic like sports in Russia are very strong. And Russia has always been a main competitor in every Olympics
Yeah.
games. And it's sad to see that Russia is banned from competitions, from Champions League in football, World Cup and stuff, and Olympics as well. And it's very sad, and we're missing this big time. And I strongly disagree with this position of those organizations. And because, as they always say and try to promote, saying sports is beyond politics, but in the reality, they don't follow what they say, and it's not true. And I think Russian athletes deserve to perform. And you know how it is when you're an athlete, you dedicate your whole life to the sport, especially when like competitions such as Olympic Games that happen only once in 4 years. you don't have many chances to perform.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's sad that, yeah, as you say, Olympic Games, no one cares where you're from. They're just here
It's
to
supposed
compete.
to, yes, it's supposed to unite, and
Exactly.
it's a shame.
Yeah,
Well, we just hope for the changes. We'll see.
yeah. Do you think it can impact a lot of Russian athletes to change nationality to play in those sports, or not really?
Yes, and it happens, and you can now see like many Russians performing for different countries, such as I don't know, some of them perform for the US, some of them for Kazakhstan, some
Hmm.
of them for Poland. That's what I've seen. There might be different countries as well, but also I also can understand the athletes. Like I don't blame them at all. I blame their uh, organizations and like who make these decisions to ban
Yeah,
countries.
I mean, yeah, the Russian athletes are just ignored in the.
And I think and everyone knows that Russian athletes are elite, like in Olympic Games. And I also think Olympic Games kind of feels not the same without such a major player as Russia.
Yeah, no, definitely, definitely. I would say, especially the Winter Olympics that's happening in
Yeah,
right. You
in
you
Italy.
just see there's a big country missing. That's usually top two, either first or second, or the lowest third.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I agree. I agree. Well, I think we've covered everything. Thank you very much. I hope people learn about Russia, about the culture, about its people. And you can always listen to this podcast on YouTube. You can also follow me on social media. I'll post different videos from this long format. Thank you very much, Pasha. It was a pleasure
Thank you.
to have you.
Thank you for having me.
No worries, my man. Stay tuned for another episode.